Hi everybody, my name is Imagine2022 and I'm a high tier 3 bed player that's been playing the kit for almost a full year. Throughout my time here, I've mastered many skills and playstyles, and now I'm making this video to help you guys improve. The video will be split into two sections, beginner and intermediate. Both of these sections will include low tier kit. At the end of both sections, I'll provide tips for that specific skill level and the best ways to improve. Bedpvp works when you're in the nether or end dimensions. Right-clicking beds will blow them up, causing an explosion. I recommend setting your inventory to similar to how you're used to. So for me personally, I keep totems somewhat centered on my inventory and beds on one side. As you can see, the pre-made kit on betters.org has many utilities that aren't useful, and I recommend dropping the flint and steel and dropping the cobwebs. Beds work in a very specific way. The pillow of each bed will do the majority of the damage. As you can see, I take way less damage when bedding with the pillow away from me. This can be leveraged to deal more damage to your opponent when exchanging beds. One of the most important skills for beginner is to learn toteming. When you're low on HP and in range to be bedded, being able to totem is crucial. One way to survive when you're low is to hold out two totems, called double handing. This gives you a higher chance of surviving if your opponent performs a D-tab or beds you twice in a row. There's two main types of bed players, either you pick block or you refill. Pick blocking is a mechanic where you hit a hotkey, and when you're looking at a block, it'll pull the block out from your inventory, allowing you to hit large chains of beds, as demonstrated by Max. The other type of player relies on refilling. This is when you open your inventory and manually grab more beds. While pick blocking may seem very appealing from the clips, the truth is it's very difficult to master and very high tier players use. Refilling generally allows for faster beds in general, and it's the method I use and recommend. Another thing for beginners to understand is that beds can go into hitboxes. This will maximize your damage, but can also cause ghosting. If you're a high ping player, 50 MS plus, I recommend aiming your beds around one block away from your opponent to avoid ghosting. Some common mistakes that I see as a bed tester is walking forwards inside a bed hole. At this level of gameplay, high ground is much better because you can place a bed to push your opponent down, dealing maximal damage. The last thing I will mention for beginners is pro bedding. Pro bedding is when you pro towards your opponent and bed this instant it lands. This is extremely important, just like toteming, because eventually you will be using this in both high tier kit fights and also low tier kit fights. That marks the end of the beginner section. As an intermediate player, I expect you to be able to totem consistently and only die without totems. Here, as an intermediate player, the most important mechanic to understand is your positioning and pro bedding. As an intermediate player, you'll begin developing your own playstyles, which will translate into your high tier kit playstyle later. Some people are more aggressive and like to begin exchanges by purling onto them, whereas some people prefer to wait until others purl onto you. The most important mechanic as an intermediate player is pro bedding accurately and consistently. An add-on you can do is to air place your bed after you pro bed them. This can cause for more damage to be dealt and possibly pop your opponent. A strategy often used to counter pearl bedding is standing on a block or standing behind it. The best way to counter this is to pearl somewhere they're not facing or not expecting. Another super important thing for intermediate players is game sense. Because of bed's low totem count, each totem pop counts. The most important part is being able to predict both your opponent's health and their next action. For example, if you and someone are trading beds and you pop before them and they start purling away, you can assume that they are low on health and it's fair to aggro and try to pop them back. The last thing I'll mention for this guide is hole fights. While in a hole fight, it's very important to keep your momentum going. While bedding, your goal is to either chain beds to kill them, or to continuously pop your opponent by placing obsidian and bedding on top of it to reduce damage dealt to yourself. Double bedding and air placing can be used extremely effectively in holes. It's important to not bed too fast, or you risk being in the same damage tick and not popping your opponent twice. Finally, when restocking beds in a hole fight, I recommend either placing a block under yourself or pulling to a place on the wall before getting more beds. Thank you guys for watching this video, and if you want a high tier kit guide, let me know down below in the comment. Special thanks to DuckQD, Phoenix Duo, MaxX2, and FlameText for all the clips.